As we continue our journey through the wastes, we look around, and every player will once seen their playthrough of Survivors 2, the USS Nautilus. Nautilus? What is that doing here? What is the submarine doing in the middle of, well, nowhere? Well, in this video, we're going to do research on the USS Nautilus, specifically though for the game, in the game lore, and we're going to figure out what bombs it had, did it launch them, who survived in there, and all of the such. Now, as you can tell, this video is different than like all the other ones I've done. Now, that's because I'm doing a new series where I will be going in depth to the lore of Survivors 2 and, well, showing around the game. After all, the game needs more players of time recording it. Without further ado, though, let's go ahead and hop into the video, and let's go ahead and get you what you clicked for. Now, for this first part, we're going to go ahead and be looking at the submarine from the game, not the real life one. We'll get to that one later. So, anyways, let's go ahead and step inside. To get into the submarine, first we must climb up an access ladder, where then we can access the top of the submarine. There we find 3 silos, which, well, 3 missiles, possibly. Now, this submarine looks very, very, very similar to the real life one. That's because they're the same one. No, really? Anyways, so we go ahead and enter the submarine through the hatch on the top. Once we're inside, you can find the room in front of you, which is the launch room. There you have, well, the controls to launch the bomb. You find a bloodied crew member, I'm assuming, and then a note. We'll get to that one later, but that will be very important for, well, later. Then, also we find the button, or yes, we find the terminals, and then the button, the missile launch button. That will end the server. Then, time most played, some people need jobs, and touch grass, and then also information on the nuke. It can only be launched every 25 minutes. Then, nextly, you can close that door. I needed water here because that's pretty low in energy. And then we can go ahead and go through the second hatch. This leads to the main area in the ship. So first we encounter two ghouls, 2 zombies or whatever. Let's go ahead and get those out. Once we do that, we go ahead and grab the med kit on the wall because we need it. And then we go and head down. Now, we go and head in the first room. In here we find some supplies, find some shelves and bunk beds, but then we find the bank key. This will be important for later. It has 2 uses. Then, we'll look at this note. This is also very important. We'll get back to that one later. Then, we go ahead and go to the next room. We can find some more food and supplies, and then another note. This will also be very important. Then, as you go ahead and out of the room, we go ahead and see an area that hasn't been built yet. Then a Mexican looking Fallout boy. I wonder why that's here. Then you can go ahead and go over to this place. You can knock on the door and see... Wait, what? A survivor? That's a first. Anyways, accidentally shot. Then you can go ahead and use the bank key and slide it through the door. That will be able to unlock the door. But oddly, she says nothing. Something's not right. Anyways, now if you see these little tubes, these are where the missiles are in, that are stored, that you can see on the top. The little red tubes, that's where the missiles are stored. Pretty cool. Anyways, that concludes the first part of this. Let's see what's next. Now let's analyze this. So, from this little trip we did, we now have 3 notes and 1 dialogue entry. This can help us place together the story of the USS Nautilus. Let's take a look at the first one. Now this right here is our first document found in the launch room. Now the document says, Government Notice 2, USS Nautilus SSN-571. You must stay at sea. Stay far away from land and radiation. Your supplies Ration your supplies. Since the nuclear war 7 months ago, the nuclear fallout has caused a mutation in the humans, which destroys the brain, making them host, perform uncontrollable and very violent actions. This will be the last message that you receive. U.S. Department of Defense. Okay, that tells us quite a bit. So now we know that whenever you, the character, are playing the game, you're at least 7 months from whenever the bomb is dropped. That's good to know. Now, we can also know that this is the second notice, so there was one before this. I'm guessing it was the one to tell them to drop the bombs. You'll see that one later. Now, the last thing that we can know is, well, of course, that the radiation is the reason for the ghouls that we find around the map. Okay, that's pretty good to know. Next. Now, this next document is found, well, in the next room, and it's probably the most important one out of all of these. You see, this one says, Government Notice 1, USS Nautilus SSN 571. This letter is to inform the onboard crew that the war has started yesterday. The USSR launched 10 nuclear bombs at major US cities. You are instructed to launch 2 out of the 3 nuclear bombs on board at the following coordinates: 55.7558 degrees north, 37.6173 degrees east, and the next pair of coordinates: 56.8431 degrees north, 60.6454 degrees east. Okay, that's our next one. Now, what does this tell us? Well, we can get a lot of information from this. First of all, what are these coordinates? Well, now the first 2 coordinates are not very surprising. Of course, it's Moscow, literally a stone's throw away from the Kremlin. That's not surprising. But the next one is not what you'd expect. This, I don't speak Russian, I can't pronounce the name right, but I don't know, any Russian viewers in the comments can try to pronounce that, but this town, well, okay, it's just some random town in Siberia. Not quite. So what I did is I hopped on Nuke Maps, and I went ahead and looked, okay, well, are there any silos near this place? And you'll never guess what I found. Kaboosh. Yes, there's a giant nuclear missile complex, Russian complex, right by that town, like a few miles away. Oh, 2 in 1. So not only do you knock out a town, but you also knock out a nuclear silo. Well, that's smart. Although that does bring up a question. In this world, the Soviets strike first, because at the time this is the Soviets. Remember, Survivors 2 is the 50s. But why is the US striking silos if they've already launched their nukes? After all, the war's already gone out. Or have they launched all of their nukes? Only 10 were launched. And I remember in the Cold War, there were a lot more than 10. Something to think about. Now, for our next document, or next paper, we can see that this is a message. So, it reads, Dear Penny, I doubt this letter will ever reach you, but I have hope that it will. For the last 2 years, there hasn't been a day I haven't thought of you. Some of my crewmates on board have gotten really sick of, if something happens to me, I will see you in another life. Love, Desmond XXX. Now, what can we tell from this? Well, first of all, now we know that whenever you're playing Survivors 2, it's at least 2 years in the future. Now you can tell this is from the standpoint of a crew member on the ship. Now, what we can see right here is that what if it wasn't? Because as you know, whenever you see the crew members, there's only 2 or 3 on board whenever you hop on the ship. the one that you're about to see, and then 2 ghouls. What could this mean? Now, the last message that we find on the USS Nautilus is probably also one of the most important ones. So, this one reads, "Hello, is someone there? My name is Jessica, and I locked myself in this pantry. There has got to be a key somewhere, and if you find it around, I will trade you some supplies. Deliver them through the transfer hatch." Well, this is really important. This is somebody who survived for over 2 years in this tiny little closet. Or, well, not in that closet, but in this submarine. So it's been a while down there. Anyways, so Mrs. Jessica seems to be quite, well, not insane. I mean, Jessica's being reasonable. What does all this mean? Now, as stated earlier, you can give the bank key to Jessica through the hatch, and she'll be free. She'll be able to unlock the door. How do we know that that works? Well, you'll get XP and supplies. So you will actually get a bit of stuff. So we do know that she did get the keys and she traded you the stuff. I see a few options on how Jessica could have survived. But the first main question we have to tackle is, why the hell is she in the closet? Seems like a really bad place to be. Well, obviously, there are big monsters outside the closet. Okay, why couldn't she just go out the submarine? Probably because she was blocked. Now, could this Jessica be the person from the note earlier? The letter that we found in the other room? Now, it couldn't be the person from the letter because that name was Desmond. Well, okay, I tried looking up some information about this Desmond. Maybe in like the crew files of the USS Nautilus. Do not, listen, whatever you do not look that stuff up. Please, trust me, I found the wrong thing. So, do not look that name up, okay? Please, I'm begging you. Okay, anyways, well, so it's obviously not the person from the letter. After all, they have 2 different names. But remember, this is over 2 years. Your name can change. So I'm not going to completely rule that possibility out. It's still logical that under the pressures of this total nuclear annihilation, she probably would have changed her name maybe. Something mental. I don't know. But I'm not going to rule that out as a possibility. So, also, here's something that brings me to mind. How did she survive that whole time in the cabinet? Hasn't it been a while? Well, we don't know how long she was in there. But what we do know is, in Fallout 4, along the beaches, you can find a child in a refrigerator. He's banging trying to get out. So, he seems that, well, he's still alive. He's fried in that refrigerator from the Great War. Yes, I know I'm talking about Fallout. This is different. But, the point is, he mutated into a ghoul, but he was in that, well, that refrigerator for 210 years. Because ghouls don't age. And like, well, that's not good. So yeah, he was there for a long while. Well, could the same thing have happened to this person in the closet? Could she also have been turned into a ghoul? But maybe not feral, like all of the other ones you find in the entire map? Or maybe there's some that aren't. I don't know about those yet, though. Still, you get my point here. There's something a little fishy about this. Now, I found the crew files for the USS Nautilus throughout its entire service period, and there was not one person from all of the names in the submarine. I searched them, including Penny, and I found nothing. Not one of these people, first or last name, were on the USS Nautilus in any of the service years, which is sad. Oh well. So that obviously did not work. So then, this is probably all fictional with the game lore. This is where the game and real life lore separate. Of course, in real life, bombs never dropped in the late 50s. But anyways, yeah, oh well. Now, I've taken up quite a bit of time here. This is one of my long videos. So I'm going to go ahead and end it off pretty soon. But before I go, I need to say I have a little more information to present. So I wanted to go deeper, but also, well, Gen Alpha, Gen Z, all of us, we don't have great attention spans. I don't either, that's a fact. And so most of y'all have probably already clicked off by now. And you know what? If you haven't, thank you. Seriously, thank you so much for taking the time and listening to this all the way through. And seriously, thank you for all that. That means a whole lot to me. So, anyways, before we go, I found where the USS Nautilus is stationed in real life. So, it was taken out of commission in the 1980s, but right now, it's in Connecticut. It's in New London, Connecticut, I think, yeah. And it's stationed there as a museum. Yeah, like it is not currently serving anymore. But that's the actual submarine there. And so, that would be cool to see sometime. But that sums up today's video. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you had a great time. I hope you're not bored to death. And I plan on making a lot more of these. And now I was going to present a lot more information in this video, but I'm going to split it up into multiple. My next is going to be what bomb was dropped during the Great War and what we know about that. And the other is going to be... the other one's going to be about when the game takes place and where. So, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for all this. Remember, smash that like and subscribe button if you enjoyed. And please, 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 well, watch more. I'm begging you. Okay, enough yapping. See y'all later. Bye. Good night. Good day. I don't care. Whatever. Just bye. But no, I do care.